Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ghostmat Gaming with me, Christopher, and we're back with Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition and my first playthrough of the game. Well, last time we continued our trek in the Clerk's Ward, where we went into the Civic Fest Hall and said hello to the Sensates. And after a while, we were able to bluff our way into the private area, which is over here, and yeah, interesting, quite interesting. These three stones, I think they proved to be quite useful, actually. Down here we had a vision meeting, I don't know, with Revel Puzzlewell. I don't know if it was actually her or a sort of vision of her, because if we go to this one over here,
I say we leave him behind.
Yes. If we look at this one, we had a proper vision of our last meeting with Deonara. We sort of looked at it through her eyes, but at the same time with our feelings mixed with her feelings, and it was just very, very weird. But obviously this is not anything that actually happened. It happened now. That happened before. And the thing over here where we encountered ourselves, possibly one of our incarnations. I mean, I don't know if that is actually what happened, but you know, it felt like it did. But both of those didn't feel real. But the encounter with Revel did feel real. I mean, I guess the implication was that she had a person who she had done something with, and it was through that person's eyes that we were experiencing that. Well, not so much eyes in the beginning, because she had basically blinded the poor fellow, but yeah. We got to talk to her, at least, and got some information out from that.
What's the hold up?
Yeah. Nothing too much, really. I mean, we still know that we need to talk to her in some way, and she wasn't ready to answer any of our questions right here, right now. So that is for the future. And today we have a couple of things that we need to do.
Precious.
Yes, time is precious and all of that. This guy over here, for example, Mr. Quell, he wants some candy. We are gonna go get that. Merriman, he needs booze, was it? I think it was a drink or something. So we need to get that, and I think that both of those actually might exist inside the Clerk's Ward. We at least have an apothecary, which I think could be a good source for something to drink. And as for something to eat, we'll see. But I have gotten a comment about something that I thought I had done and didn't really amount to anything, but might actually be important, which is to talk to you companions. So before we leave this place, I do enjoy the background music here, so why don't we have a bit of a talk with people right here? So let's have a bit of a chat with Mort, see if he has to say something to me. So, what can we say? Yeah, let's start by asking about the night. I know, actually, you know what? We haven't really been talking to you, so to speak. Mort, how did you die? Well, no idea, Chief. I kind of forgot when I died. Can't say I blame myself much. At least there was something waiting for me after I died, even if it is life as a floating skull. I mean, it could have been worse, but what happened to your body exactly? Well, I don't know, alright? It's just gone. But don't think I miss it, because I'm happy as the way I am, and I don't need your half-wit judgment or snide remarks, alright. And I could just say, shake a leg. Oh, that would be a bit cruel, almost. Okay, well, what do you know about the night hag? Well, she's a night hag, and she was definitely barmy enough to make you immortal of all people. I mean, she could have chosen me. Still, anyone adult enough to lock Blaze with the Lady of Pain isn't someone we really want to find. Okay, fair enough. And, yeah, what's your advice in this situation? Well, okay, here's how I see things. Looks like we need to find out more about the night hag Revel. I mean, that's sort of a given, but sure. And I have to tell Chief I'm not looking forward to that. The festival sages and some of the sensory stoves might be able to tell us something. Well, okay, we already know about this because we've already done it. And, yeah, okay, here we go. I actually read that wrong the first time around. Indeed, I don't mind you tagging along, but what else can you do but just chatter? And hey, chattering is my best trait. And he rattles his teeth for a moment, then grins. Hey. Well, I mean, I know about the litany of curses. I'm more curious about what you got while you were at Lothar's. Yeah, he was at Lothar's. Did you gather anything? Well, I made some friends when I was sitting on the shelf in Lothar's, waiting for you to bail me out. Thanks for taking your sweet time about it, by the way. Hey, it didn't even take that long. They said if I needed any help, I could just call on them. Well, okay, what do you mean by friends in this occasion? Oh, here we go. Well, I just whistle and they kind of show up. They're a good bunch of bashers, bite like snakes too. And Mort, now, has a special ability called Skull Mob. When invoked, you can summon a horde of skulls off-screen to come and bite an opponent multiple times. The strength and damage of skulls varies according to Mort's level, and the power can only be used a limited number of times per day. Well, that's fascinating. So he now has another skill. Well, that's cool. And I think that's about it for you. So let's move over to, and absolutely nothing. Let's talk to Dakon. He was, after all, the second one. And Dakon turns to you, his eyes like polished coal. His blade mirrors his eyes for a moment as you address him. Then he nods. What is your will? Well, Dakon, I would like to know some things. I will hear you. Okay, you know what? Why don't you talk to me about your travels? And he waits. Okay. What about the city of Sigil? Well, it is known by the name Sigil. Among the people, it is known as a city that does not know itself. So what do you mean by that? I think we've already asked you about this, but sure. The city exists, but it doesn't know itself. It not knowing itself, its existence is flawed. Exactly how? The city exists in opposition to itself. It has set itself apart from the planes, yet it seeks to be everywhere at once. Its walls are doors, yet it keeps these doors locked. Such an existence tells of a thing that does not know itself. It not knowing itself, it is flawed. Okay. So, but yeah, what if the city is not flawed? And I think does not need to be ordered or have a purpose to know itself. What is the contradiction or strength that you cannot see? To your question, I think I've done this already, haven't I? I think I've done this whole thing. Okay, there are other things. Shrakt lore, what is that? Well, it's not my will that we speak of that place. Well, you know what? Go on, I need you to tell me. No, it is the place where I died my first death. Okay, so what is that place? It is one of the great homes of the people. It has suffered many wounds in its life. One of its scars is by my hand. So what do you mean by that? Upon the rolling plain of limbo, the people shape cities from the chaos with their thoughts. Know that there is no place for a divided mind. And he raises his blade from his shoulder and holds it before him. As he stares at it, it sharpens until it's almost as thin as a piece of paper. Aha. A divided mind is an unfocused mind. A divided mind fractures walls and weakens stone. And many divided minds may destroy a city. Long have I known the words of Serthimon. Through my voice, many have come to know the words of Serthimon. The Serth protect the community from all threats, whether to the body or the mind. They are the guiding souls of the chaos, so it came to pass that I spoke the words of Serthimon without knowing the words of Serthimon. It came to pass that I no longer knew myself. So, indeed, you doubted the actual words. No, apparently not. And his voice is edged, and its blade sharpens in response. Even more, I knew the words, yet it came to my heart that perhaps others did not know the words as Serthimon knew them. Okay, so they've sort of warped the meaning. And so the vision formed. As my mind became as my mind became divided, those that looked to me as a guiding stone became divided. Many scores of Gitzerai, many hundred scores of Gitzerai doubted. Shraklor died that day. I mean, I guess you mean the sort of essence of itself died. Okay, indeed, those that followed you came to doubt your words, and the city was weakened. The enemies of Serthimon came. Know that their hatred of his words and the people lent their blades strength. Know that they sensed the weakened city and they brought war with them. Many Gitzerai drowned in the chaos and beneath the blades of our enemies. and small beads of metal appears on the surface of the blade as if blistering. No, this happened a long ago. So what happened to you after all of this? And as I fell from the walls of Shrakt lore, know that myself was broken. My blade was missed, my mind divided. I was adrift upon limbo's seas, and I wished to drown. I died for days, my mind I washed in division. So he basically didn't actually die, only mentally died, I guess. So how did you actually come out of that? And as you speak the words, you feel a strange crawling sensation eat its way through the back of your skull, and your vision blurs. You take a deep breath and steady yourself. For some strange reason, you feel nauseous, as if the landscape had just started spinning around you. So, how did you survive? I suffered. As a near death, I came to know myself, and I survived. That is all. Okay, didn't really get much out about that in the end. So about the teachings? No, I don't want to do that. And I would assume art is about fighting. Know the way the people is not the same as the art you have come to know. It is not the energy that gives strength, it is knowing the self that gives strength. The teachings of Serthimon speak of such things. So would you teach me the way of Serthimon? Do you know that what you have asked? The texture of Takon's blade flows until it becomes a stone. To walk the path of Serthimon, you must know of the people. The knowing of such things by one out of the people is a difficult matter. There are those other people who would have heard the way of Serthimon, but they do not know the way. Okay, I would like to know, I think.
Updated my journal.
There we go. Know that I've heard your words and I shall test them. To learn, you must know the people. To know the people, you must know the unbroken circle of Serthimon. And he was up the stone disc in his possession, and his spider-like fingers hook into its sides. There's a click and the plates of the circle slide into a new configuration. Now the first circle of Serthimon is open to you, study it, and then I will hear your words. And I shall read it at some point, I guess. Okay, is that something I can now do? Can I use this now? Here we go, okay. The small round stone is the unbroken circle of Serthimon. It's made up of a series of interlocking circles that fold out from one another. The complexity of the plates and the intricacy of their links prove the text was constructed by a master artisan. So let's unlock the first plate. You mirror the motions the Dakon made upon the circle, and the plates give way at your touch, the rings sliding into new configuration. Upon the rings are a series of symbols. The script is like no writing you've ever seen. It is a series of interlocking geometries with circles predominating. Just looking at it, you know the symbols and know you can read it. So let's just read it. Know that we are the first people. Once all was chaos. The first people were thought drawn from chaos. The first people came to know themselves. They were chaos no longer and became flesh. With their thoughts and knowing of matter, the people shaped the first world and dwelled there with their knowing to sustain them. And yet the flesh was new to the people, and with it the people came to know themselves. The flesh gave rise to new thoughts. Greed and hate, pains and joys, jealousies and doubts, all of these fed on each other, and the minds of the people were divided. In their division, the people were punished. The emotions of the flesh were strong. The greed and hates, the pains and joys, the jealousies and doubts, all of these served as a guiding stone to enemies. In becoming flesh, the first people became enslaved to those who knew flesh only as tools for their will. No, these beasts were the Illithids. Oh, here we go. So here comes the Illithids. The Illithids were a race that had come not to know themselves. They had learned how to make other races not know themselves. They were the tentacled ones. They lived in flesh and saw flesh as tools for their will. Their blood was of water, and they shaped minds with their thoughts. When the Illithids came upon the people were a people no more. The people became slaves. The Illithids took the people from the first world and brought them to the false worlds. As the people labored upon the false worlds, the Illithids taught them the way of the flesh. Through them, the people came to know loss. They came to know suffering. They came to know death, both of the body and mind. They came to know what it is to be the herd of another and have their flesh consumed. They came to know the horror of being made to feel joy in such things. The unbroken circle is the knowing of how the people lost themselves and how they came to know themselves again. Okay, let's close that up, and that kind of strikes a little bit of a memory with me, because when we're talking about Baldur's Gate 3, which is sort of coming up, and just an FYI, I have not played anything because it's still in early access. I'm gonna wait before it's actually released. But if I'm not incorrect, isn't there or is that a Githyanki character you can have in your party? Maybe it isn't a Gitzerai, maybe it is a Githyanki. Oh, maybe I was a bit wrong there. But I know there's a lot of Illithids in Baldur's Gate 3. At least there is in the trailers, so that's sort of why that came into my mind. Anyway,
what is your will?
Okay, let's talk more about the teachings. Here we go. I read the Unbroken Circle. I want to speak to you more about the way of Serthamon. And what did you come to know? So let's see if I've actually learned anything here. Strength lies in knowing oneself. I learned that once someone does not know themselves, they are lost. They become a tool for others. Potentially. I learned that your people were once slaves to the Illithids. It seems they committed many crimes against your people. I mean, we already... or rather, that is also true. That is also true. But also, yeah... what he's asking is, what do I know? When I say I learned, it's not really the same thing. I'll go for the first one and see if he actually accepts that.
Updated my journal.
He kinda does, apparently. You have come to know the first circle of Serthamon. You not only see the words of Serthamon, you have come to know them. And you also up the circle. There's a click and a place in circle size in the new configuration. No, the second circle of Serthamon is open to you. I shall read that. Right, feels like we could have done this a bit earlier, but whatever. Right, unlock the second circle. Here we go, start reading. Know that flesh cannot mark steel. Know that steel may mark flesh. Knowing this, Serthamon became free. Know that the tentacled ones were of flesh. They relied on the flesh and used it as tools for their will. One of the places where flesh served their will was the fields of husks on the false world of the Illithids. The fields were where the bodies of the people were cast after the Illithids had consumed their brains. When the brain had been devoured, the husks came to be fertilizer to grow the poison-stemmed grasses of the Illithids. Serthamon worked the fields with no knowing of himself or what he had become. He was a tool of flesh, and the flesh was content. It was upon these fields that Serthamon came to know the scripture of steel. During one of the turnings, as Serthamon tilled the fields with his hands, he came across a husk whose brain remained within it. It had not been used as a food, yet it was dead. The thought that one of the husks had died a death without serving as food for the Illithids was a thought Serthamon had difficulty understanding. From that thought came a desire to know what had happened to the husk. Embedded in the skull of the husk was a steel blade. It had pierced the bone. Serthamon realized that was what had killed the husk. The steel had marked the flesh, but the flesh had not marked the steel. Serthamon took the blade and studied its surface. In it he saw his reflection. It was in the reflection of the steel that Serthamon first knew himself. Its edge was sharp, its will the wearer's. It was the blade that would come to be raised against Gith when Serthamon made a pronouncement of two skies. Serthamon kept the blade for many turnings, and many were the thoughts he had about it. He used it in the fields to aid his work. In using it, he thought about how it was not used. The Illithid was powerful. Serthamon had believed that there were nothing they did not know, yet the Illithids never carried tools of steel. They only used flesh as tools. Everything was done through flesh, for the tentacled ones were made of flesh and they knew flesh. Yet steel was superior to flesh. When the blade had killed the husk, it was the flesh that had been weaker than the steel. And it was then that Serthamon came to know that the flesh yielded to steel. In knowing that, he came to know that steel was stronger than the Illithids. I mean, yeah, seems kind of almost childish in a manner, I think. But I mean, you know, ancient races and all of that, maybe they weren't that, you know, in tune with everything, I guess. So let's finish up here. Steel became the scripture of the people. Know that steel is the scripture by which the people came to know freedom. Alright. Let's again have a bit of a chat. We have read the second circle. I guess that's it. Yes, I learned that not knowing something can be a tool. It's like flesh and steel. If upon encountering it, you attempt to know its nature and how it came to be. And again, I can say what I've learned, which is that certain MacLeod of the nature of steel now can be used to defeat illithids. But again, I can't say I know this, so let's go for the first one. Ooh, we actually do get some experience points as well. Cool. You have seen the words and you have seen beyond them. You have come to know the second circle. And he has now meditated upon his teaching, and the knowing of it shall give you strength. When you have absorbed it, you shall know more. Okay. Or is there more? Okay, well, let me read that properly. It takes a circle and with a deft motion, it twists one of the links so one of the place slides forward, but strangely enough, the stone still appears intact. Okay, fair enough. I will study the circle, but I would still know more. Or I'd like to know more, I guess. And his fingers feel around the edge of the stone circle, it twists it clockwise, links clicking until they've settled into a new configuration. Right, okay. We have opened another one. So, again, keep going. Feels like I should have done this way earlier, by the way. Third circle. You slide a place in the configuration. Start reading. Sarthamon labored many turnings for the illithid, Arlathi, twice deceased, and his partnership in the cavernous heavens of the false worlds. There's actually a name for an illithid. I don't think I've ever seen that in a game so far. Cool. His students would have broken the backs of many others, but Sarthamon labored on, suffering torment and exhaustion. It came to pass that the illithid, Arlathi, twice deceased, ordered Sarthamon before him in his many-vein Galleria. He claimed that Sarthamon has committed slights of obstinance and cowardice against his partnership. The claim had no weight of truth, for Arlathi only wished to know if flames raged within Sarthamon's heart. He wished to know if Sarthamon's heart was one of a slave or one of a rebel. Sarthamon surrendered to the illithid punishment rather than reveal his newfound strength. He knew that were he to show the hatred in his heart, it would serve nothing, and it would harm others that felt as he. He chose to endure the punishment and was placed within the pillars of silence, so he might suffer for a turning. Lashed upon the pillars, Sarthamon moved his mind to a place where pain could not reach, leaving his body behind. He lasted a turning, and when he was brought before Arlathi, twice deceased, he gave gratitude for his punishment to the illithid, as was custom. In so doing, he proved himself a slave in the illithid eyes, and while his heart remained free. So, by enduring and quenching the fires of his hatred, he followed Arlathi, twice deceased, to think him weak. Allowed, not followed, allowed. When the time of the rising came, Arlathi was the first of the illithid to know death by Sarthamon's hand and die a third death. Right? So Sarthamon is now free, and let's talk a bit more about this. No, crap. No, god damn it. Crap. Shucks, I need to do everything again, don't I? Oh, bloody hell, I clicked it freaking wrong. I'm no longer a mage. I'm a fighter mage now. No, I'm not a fighter mage. I am a... God damn it. Oh, let me redo this, because that is not gonna cut it. There we go. Bit later. Actually, I also realized when talking to Mort, I missed something. I should have given him another dialogue answer, actually. So I've unlocked even another special ability, which is the Litany of Curses. But I'm also thinking, didn't I already have that? Because he said that he learned it, but I think he already had that.
Balance.
I don't know. Let's have a bit of a chat, and let's not press the wrong button. I've read the Unbroken Circle. And what did you come to know? I would say endure, probably. A leader must suffer in order to protect his goals. Well, actually, I think that is actually more in tune with what I've learned. But on the other hand, no must suffer. No must suffer is not the correct thing. Endure. There we go. The words he speaks instruct Dakon strangely as to speak them. His word decreases, then resettles into normal passive expression. I was supposed to say passive aggression. Passive expression. Your will has brought you the knowing of the third circle. With this knowing, I impart this to you. He takes the circle, and with a deft motion, he twists one of the legs so that one of the plates slides forth. Meditate upon its teaching, and the knowing of it shall give you strength. Okay. And is there more you can teach me? And I'm just very, very hungry for knowledge here, aren't I? As you ask words, you suddenly notice that Dakon isn't looking at you. He's holding the unbroken circle in his hand, studying it. His blade has taken on the same texture as the unbroken circle, and Dakon suddenly seems older. Hello, are you cool? And his black eyes rise from the circle and look at you. Know that I did not believe you would come to know the teachings of the circle. It was pretty damn easy, but sure. It is a difficult path you will walk in learning the way of Surthamon. Is your mind focused on the matter? Absolutely. His fingers feel around the edges of the stone circle. It twists it clockwise and reverse the motion, resetting the stone. So the next circle is open to me. Cool. Let's keep doing this.
It is I.
Let's keep going. Fourth circle, please. How many circles are there? I don't know. And let's start reading. Know that the rising of the people against the Illithid was a thing built upon many 10 turnings of labor. Many of the people gathered and taught in secret the ways of defeating their Illithid masters. They were taught to shield their minds and use them as weapons. They were taught the scriptures of steel, and most importantly, they were given the knowing of freedom. Some of the people learned the nature of freedom and took it into their hearts. The knowing gave them strength. Others feared freedom and kept silent. But there were those that knew freedom and knew slavery, and it was their choice that the people remained chained. One of these was Vilkar. And Vilkar saw no freedom in the rising, but opportunity. He saw that the Illithid had spawned across many of the false worlds. Their worlds numbered so many that their vision was turned only outwards, so to all they did not already touch. Vilkar's eye saw that much took place that the Illithid did not see. To the rising, the Illithid were blinded. And Vilkar became before his master, the Illithid Shiitaris, or Shiitaris, I don't know, with the knowing of the rising. Vilkar added to his chains and offered to be their eyes against the rising. In exchange, Vilkar asked that he be rewarded for his service. The Illithid agreed to his contract. Any bets that they're gonna betray him? Kind of feels like something they would do. And at the bonding of the contract, a dark time occurred. Many were betrayals Vilkar committed, and many were the people that the Illithids fed upon to stem the rising. It seemed that the rising would die before it could occur, and the Illithid were pleased with Vilkar's eye. It was near the end of the dark times when Surthamon came to know Vilkar's treacherous. In knowing Vilkar's eye, Surthamon forced the rising to silence itself, so that Vilkar might think last his treacheries had succeeded, and the rising had fallen. He knew that Vilkar's eye was filled only with the reward he had been promised. He would see what he wished to see. With greed beating in his heart, Vilkar came upon the Illithid Shiitaris and spoke to his master of his success. He said that the rising had fallen, and the Illithids were safe to turn their eyes outwards once more. He praised their wisdom in using Vilkar's eye, and he asked them for his reward. In his greed blindness, Vilkar had forgotten the knowing of why the people had sought freedom. He had lost the knowing of what slavery meant. He had forgotten what his Illithid masters saw when they looked upon him, and so Vilkar's betrayal of the people was ended with another betrayal. Vilkar became to know that when Vilkar's eye had nothing left to see, Vilkar's eye was useless. The Illithid gave to Vilkar his reward, opening the cavity of his skull and devouring his brain. Vilkar's corpse was cast upon the fields of husks, so its blood might water the poison-stemmed grasses. Who'd have thunk that that would have happened? Yes. Right, I have again read Oh, that's a big thing. When one chooses to see only what is before them, they see only a part of the whole. They are blind. And just as Vilkar was blinded by his promised reward, so were the Illithids blinded by the true rising. For when they heard Vilkar's words, they turned their sight outwards again, didn't they? And the rising was free to strike. Indeed. And when one chooses to see without knowing, they betray themselves. That's way too simplistic. There we go. I like that the experience that we gain it keeps increasing as well. Know that you speak truly. Vilkar's eye blinded both Vilkar and the Illithids. The tentacled ones thought the rising to be no more. When the rising occurred, the ground drank deep of Illithid blood. So was victory born from treachery. And indeed, why is that a part of the teachings of Serthimon? And his blade bleeds into dead night black, and his voice deepens for a moment. There is much about the way of Serthimon and its path that is difficult to know. And do you know that? Well, it's part of the telling of how our people came to know freedom. It let us know that there are those, even among the people, who are not of the people, and that even the greatest treachery, a greater knowing, may be achieved. Okay, fair enough. Hey, I've gotten something. What have I gotten? You're come to know the fourth circle. And I would still like to know more, so he gives me another. Right. Keep going. What have I gotten? I got... Oh. Well, would you know? Allows you to copy scriptures of steel. Okay. Only by mages in the name is one. Squared upon the circular stone is this... Okay, so yeah. His spells, basically. Okay. And this is the third circle, so that is Submerge the Will, as well as Vilkar's Eye. We'll have to have a bit of a look at what they do. First though, fifth circle. Start reading it. And Serthimon was the first to know the way of freedom, yet it was not he that first came to know the way of rebellion. The knowing of rebellion came to the warrior queen Gith, one of the people. She had served the Illithids upon many of the false worlds as a soldier, and she had come to know war and carried it in her heart. She had come to know how others might be organized to subjugate others. She knew the paths of power, and she knew the art of taking from the conquerors the weapons by which they could be defeated. Her mind was focused, and both her will and her blade were as one. The turning in which Serthimon came to know Gith, Serthimon ceased to know himself. Her words were as fires lit in the hearts of all who heard her. In hearing her words, he wished to know war. He knew not what afflicted him, but he knew. He wished to join his blade to Gith. He wished to give his hate expression and share his pain with the Illithid. Okay. Are we talking love at this point? Maybe. Gith was one of the people, but her knowing of herself was greater than any Serthimon had ever encountered. She knew the way of flesh, she knew the Illithids, and in knowing herself, she was to know how to defeat them in battle. The strength of her knowing was so great that all those that walked her path came to know themselves. Okay. Gith was but one. Her strength was such that it caused others to know their strength, and Serthimon laid steel at her feet. So basically, she was a great inspirer, basically. Right? Fair enough. I have read it. There is great strength in numbers, but there is great power in one. For the strength of the will of one may gather numbers to it. There is strength not only knowing the self, but knowing how to bring it forth in others. Indeed, that's the answer here. Ooh, 3,000 and probably another spell. And indeed, I've come to know the fifth circle. With this knowing, I impart this to you. And we have more. He keeps going. Okay, so it's even more. Keep going. I have received the power of one. Another spell. Very useful. I wonder what you get if you're not a mage. Interesting. Right. We are at the sixth circle. Was there like 7 circles? That sort of ring the bell now. Right. Upon the blasted plains, Serthimon told Gith there cannot be two skies. In the wake of his words, came war. Upon the blasted plains, the people had achieved victory over their illithid masters. They knew freedom. Yet before the green fires had died from the battlefield, Gith spoke of continuing the war. Many, still filled with the bloodlust in their hearts, agreed with her. She spoke of not merely defeating the illithids, but destroying all illithids across the plains. After the illithids had been exterminated, they would bring war to all other races they encountered. Now we're getting into dangerous territory here. Exterminating everything just because they have been enslaved by one race, that seems a bit over the top, but sure. In Geth's heart, fire raged. She lived in war, and in war she knew herself. All that her eyes saw, she wanted to conquer. Serthimon spoke to the beginnings of what which was against Gith's will. He spoke that the people already knew freedom. Now they should know themselves again and mend the damage that had been done to the people. Behind his words were many other hearts of the people who were weary of the war against the illithid. Know that Gith's heart was not Serthimon's heart on this matter. She said that the war would continue, the illithid would be destroyed, their flesh would be no more. Then the people would claim the false worlds as their own. Gith told Sertimon that they would be under the same sky in this matter. The words were like bared steel. From Sertimon came the pronouncement of two skies. In the wake of his words came war. Okay, so what have we actually learned here? Have we learned I have no idea. I was about to say something very profound there, but I don't know. Right, more teachings I have read. I know that Sertimon's devotion to the people was such that he was willing to protect them from themselves. He knew the illithids had come to not to know themselves in their obsession with control and domination, so he chose to stop Gith before she carried the people to their deaths. There must be balance in all things, or else the self will not hold. I feel that that is again the proper thing. 5,000, 2 more spells. You have seen the words and know them, right? Aha, twisted clockwise. Dakon stares at the 2 plates in his hand. He makes no move to hand them to you. Is that that one for you? So he falls silent. His blade has ceased shimmering, the film freezing upon its surface. He's staring at the second plate, paralyzed. Well, do you know the 6th circle? No, there is nothing more I may teach you. You know the way as the people know it, and it shall give you the direction by which you may know yourself. Well, I didn't ask that. I asked if you know the 6th circle. And it has come to pass that I did not know the 6th circle of Serthimon. Once I knew it, but now, I only saw the words. That is all. It's my path that I no longer know the way of Serthimon. And is that by any chance connected to the happenings of Shrakt lore? I do not know. The people became divided and the people suffered. Upon reading Unbroken Circle, I know now that I took the knowing of the 5th circle and used the power of 1 to bring about the 6th circle in Shrakt lore. In so doing, I divided the people. There was much suffering. I carry Shrakt lore with me always. Okay, well, I would know one more thing. Why is Vilkar's eye in the circle of Serthimon? It seems strange. It tells of how the people benefited from a treachery from their own. Sort of connected to the treachery that he might have done himself. I've told you it is part of the telling of how the people came to know freedom. Do you not listen? It tells the people that even in the greatest treachery, a greater knowing may be achieved. Well, it doesn't sound like you actually believe that. Apparently, I believe. I think there's another reason Vilkar's eye is in the circle of Serthimon. It is set there because of the 6th circle and the pronouncement of 2 skies. It is there to justify Sertimon's treachery to the people upon the blasted plains. And is now silent, and his blade bleeds with the dead black teeth rippling along the edge. He divided the people upon the blasted plain, Dakon. He divided your race when they were on path of victory. I would like to believe that it was because he wished to save the people from themselves, but I don't think you believe that. He's silent for a moment, and then he speaks. I do not know the 6th circle as it is known to others. I fear that the 3rd circle, the 4th circle, and the 6th circle are more closely linked than many know. It is in that knowing that I have lost myself. Okay, well, in the 3rd circle, Saruman submerges his will to deceive the Illithids, and then in the 4th circle he speaks of the benefits of treachery. And in the 6th, Saruman divides his people before they exterminate the Illithids. So you think Saruman's word may not have been his own. Know my words and know the wound that lies upon my heart. I feared that when Saruman was upon the Pillars of Silence, he did not submerge his will. I fear his will was taken from him by the Illithids. And when he spoke upon the blasted plains, it was their words he spoke. I fear that what he did was not for the people's sake, but for our former masters. I mean, it is possible, but know that it doesn't necessarily mean that, then know this and speak of it no more. Know that I shall never know the truth. There is no resolution for this matter, for I shall never know Saruman's heart upon the blasted plains. And he glares at the stone circle, and so I do not know myself because of the unbroken circle of Saruman. Okay, well that's fair enough, and I guess we're sort of done with Dakon for a while. I've also gotten Balancing All Things, as well as another balance. Yeah, I want. That's weird. Did I get a copy of the same thing? Right, so I've gotten, basically, the same stuff that he has. Sort of, yes. Apart from his Reign of Anger, but, you know, I have magic missiles myself. So, indeed, magical or protective energy. Or are these the same? They are, right? Yes. And then but he doesn't have anything else. And I surely have gotten other things, right? Haven't I written in more than 3? I'm sure I entered more than 3. Oh right, power of 1, here we go. And that is from Gith, spend increase the target. Yeah, that's that one, you have that one as well. Oh, and also this one. No, that's Bloodbridge, never mind. And here we go. Balancing All Things. Only effective caster, attack while the spell is in effect, all hostile creatures within 10-foot radius take equal damage. Less for 1 attack per 4 levels of the caster. Did you have that one? No, you did not. Aha, I have something he doesn't have. I am good. Right, okay. I mean, this episode is going to be the episode of me talking to my my followers, I guess. So, Anna,
what is it you want then?
You know, let's talk a bit about everything here. Let's talk a bit about how you found my body. And, okay, bit of a big thing here. The pregnant alley. Okay, well, what were you doing looking for bodies there? I mean, you would have had to creep your way through the tenement and then pass a Dabus to get there. And the place isn't even heavily trafficked as the rest of the hive, so why would you even look there? Well, the rest of the hive is picked clean, it is. Good to find new spots to poach your dead as you do. I mean, fair. Well, as you feel a crawling sensation in the back of your skull, you suddenly realize she's lying. Are you? Sure. It must be something in your tone, because it stops her tail dead for a moment. Well, I think... I don't usually go there to scarp debtors. I don't, to think of it. I've never even been there before. I just kind of came across it. Okay, so why? Well, I done I. I'm not gonna talk Scottish, by the way. I just did, and lucky for you, I did, or you still be there. Sure. I mean, fair enough, but still. The same crawling sensation as before warms up in the back of your skull. She doesn't? No, she's lying. Ah, yes, you might have been compelled. Is that how you found
my journal?
Well, mayhap. It wasn't one of my usual haunts, but I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to see what was there that day, and there you were, dead as a timber. You were like a lodestone, you were. I don't know what led me to find you. Curious indeed. Okay. And possibly I met you. I mean, I did sort of feel like I met her before. Well, you did. I haven't forgot. Yes, what were you doing by the mortuary? Okay, you were close by to there. It's my territory. I was looking for debtors. I was found a walking one. I did. Yeah, okay. So did you find anything on my body? Well, mayhap I found something, but if I found anything, it's mine by right. It is. The other bits are in the ferret's keeping. Okay, what did you find? Well, you had some fist irons, you did, and a little bit of jink, but I left that for the dusty, so they think I was a wee bit honest. You had an ugly ring that I kept, and dips her finger into her arm, braces and pulls forth a small ring. Worth thrice more than jink, and the iron it was. Too bad it is too ugly to wear. Hand me that ring. Okay, fair enough, I guess. Didn't want the ugly thing, anyway, I didn't. Okay, so the stuff that is in Ferret's keeping, what would that be? Well, it takes a bit of each corpse we find. It is his right, being the Lord of the Village and all, but of every corpse you all find, there's a lot of corpses. Well, to tell, old Stutter Crutch has got a stash pit somewhere close to him. It's the only reason I can see why his get-ups is his setup is skipping that filthy, drafty hall. It is nothing but stink and shadow. And that is apparently where he puts the tribute. I know what are you on about. You planning to rob him? Probably yes. But the truth is that I don't really want to do that. And I can lie and say I haven't done that, or rather I don't want to do that, which is more true in some ways. I am tempted to do that. I'm actually going to lie on this occasion, see if she catches on. Well, good. I'm warning you against such a thing. Ferd can be daft sometimes, but he's mean as all fiends spit when he gets worked up. And loves his keepsakes, he does. But where does he keep it all? If he's been at the village for as long as he says, he would have amassed quite a collection. Well, and I was never left his hall to get his tribute when he needed it. Okay, so it's in the hall. You wouldn't want to walk far with a lame leg as well, that's true, but only if you don't watch him carefully. He isn't lame, though he puts on a fair show about being weak in the leg. So the crutch could be a portal key. There's a thought. I wouldn't know how to use it though, maybe you just need to have it. And this brings up another point. Actually, we might actually finish the episode off with that. We had a cutscene where we saw the spirits, ghosts, whatever, that surrounded my slab. They actually came for him and presumably killed him because we heard a scream. And for some reason I just brushed that away. I should have gone and looked in his hall now that he's actually dead. I mean, I don't know that. My character doesn't know that, but, you know, I as the player know that. So yeah, I've been a bit silly, I think, by not going there, so maybe we should finish this off by actually going there. Yes. What can you tell me about Ferret? Old Stuttercrutch, he's me dad. Well, not me real dad. He found me when I was a wee girl, and he needed a collector to crawl into places the rest of his fat gullies couldn't squirm, so he took me under his crutch. Everyone needs the tiny thief, don't they? And okay, indeed, you probably didn't really look alike, yes. And what do you mean by that? I mean, it's hard to see the resemblance between an ugly, stooped, greedy, smelly gutter troll and you. Oh, is that so? Does you see that? Ooh, here we go. Are we gonna romance Anna? Is that a thing in this game? I don't know. I mean, have you looked at yourself? Aside from the way you carry yourself, you're confident, sensible, and graceful. And that doesn't even take into account your obvious good looks. You have that rich, fine red hair, those sharp green eyes, and that striking profile. Absolutely. Here we go. She just stares at me. She's not... I don't think that she's used to being flirted with here. Well, all I'm saying is that you don't look anything alike. And she's a bit flabbergasted, I think, at this point. Well, she suddenly leans in, she bites you sharply in the neck, giving a soft hiss. Rather than pulling back, she presses closely into you and whispers into your ear. You fancy your chances? Her taste begins to lash slowly back and forth, but the rhythm is more hypnotic. Ooh. Well, she turned around quickly. You can feel Anna's heart beating fast in her chest and the color rising into her cheeks. You suddenly become conscious of the fact that Anna's skin is smooth, soft. I want to tell you something. You can't poke fun at me. Well, do you know I like the way you smell? Ooh, here we go. Oh, aye, it drives me barmier than a chaos man, it does. I see the way you look at me and I like it. You got hungry eyes too, it makes me a fire. Man, she just flipped a switch here. I want to bite you soft like around the neck. She teases the side of your neck with her teeth, never breaking skin, and with every whisper you can feel her breath along your ear. Her hand slides up around the back of your neck and tightens so you can feel her nails digging into your skin. I want to drag my nails along the back of your neck and force you to kiss me. Well, do that then. I just like to reject here and point out that I'm not going to say anything to spoil the mood, Chief. I'll just float and watch. Don't mind me just sitting here floating and watching. That's me. Yeah, it's a bit weird that we're doing it right here. But sure. Do you know that I can smell you from 50 paces? That smell of formaldehyde pouring off you like one of them dusty shamblers? Maybe if you clean yourself up some, you'd be a right price. I make passion with you so hard you've been knocked off the spire. So do you fancy me? Do I? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to Fall from Grace a little bit more. She has wings, you know. But on the other hand, I mean, who doesn't want a cat girl? I don't know if she's a cat girl, but she has a tail. And, you know what? I'm gonna bite her back. You grab Anna, before she can squirm free, you bite her lightly on the neck. As her teeth touch the skin, Anna hisses loudly, clawing like a cat, and tears away from you. I was only teasing you, you scarred vampire. Leave off! Despite her protestations. Is that a word? Protests, I would say. However, her face is flushed, and she's breathing heavily. And wash your mitts next time. You should make him a red GR. Okay. Well, you bite me, I bite you. That's kind of... Yeah, sure. Indeed, if you bite me, I'm gonna bite you right back. Well, I do what I please so well. You just keep your mitts off me, yeah, here. I don't know if I struck out, but... Alright, I have more questions for you, though. Okay. Indeed, right, let's get back to Farad. That was an interesting altercation here. Is that the correct word? Interaction, maybe I should say. Anna, when Farad went to return the tribute he took from my body, he vanished for a while, then came back, but he never left Illwind Court. Well, we've already sort of discussed this, I guess. I think that this is the same. Yeah, this is exactly the same. So we're going for the portal key thing, right? Same thing as before. And she can apparently teach me thievery. That's actually useful to know that your companions can do that sort of stuff. And what's your take on Ravel Puzzle? Well, you're daft, don't be mentioning her name if you value your life. Why is that then? She's the evilest of the Grey Ladies, she is. And her voice drops almost to a whisper. And filthy, mean, and with more power to toss around than some powers. It said that she's all a brambles through and through in her heart. It said that you can never kill her, because her body is like a tree. You lop off one limb, and there's always another still growing somewhere else across the plains. So she sort of split her soul in some way? Is that why she took my soul? Or is she using my soul for herself? Possibly. Is she a bit like Voldemort? Is that what we're gathering here? Okay, well, you might think that she's alive. Of course she is. She has to be. How would you kill a thing such as her? That's what the lady had to maze her, so it's said. Okay, fair enough. And, right, we got something out of that exchange, I think, maybe. But, you know what, before we... I'm gone. Before we do the things that we are doing in the Clerk's Ward, or Clerk's Ward as I'd like to pronounce it, let's actually do what I said. Let's go back to Farad's court and see if we can figure something out, because he is dead, and if I can find his crutch and we can teleport into his place, yeah, maybe we can find something out. But before we do that, I got a ring. I got the Ring of the Traveler. I've already got one of those. Does anyone else need a ring? Dakon can have a ring. You can have a ring. Dakon, you are actually someone who could use one of those because your AC was a little bit on the high side. Right, back to Farron's court and see if we can snoop around in there. Right, here we are. Indeed, we have loot.
All right.
So let's move up. See what Anna says about this. She must react to this, right? And there we go. We did have Farah's crush. Duh, what happened to? Who did this? Yes, she has acknowledged something has happened. We get the bronze sphere as well. We don't need that one. And we don't need that one either. Mort, you are the carrier of shiny things. And this is Farah's crutch. Not usable by mages, sadly. We can't use it. Okay. A rickety wooden staff has crosspiece nailed across the top. The crosspiece is wrapped in rags, presumably to keep the damn thing from jamming too sharply into Ferris' armpit when he leans on it. The crutch, not surprisingly, smells terrible, and every inch of it is covered in dirt, sewage, and various unidentified stains. Something about this crutch makes you wonder. Despite its fragile appearance, it has held up rather well. You even test it with your weight, and it holds you up without so much as creaking. Considering Ferris' scavenging nature, the crutch may have had some value beyond the surface appearance for him. It might even be useful as a weapon. I mean, sure, we also have the bronze sword that I can use. Okay, let's hold off on that for a little while. And silver bronze sphere is about a foot across. Although its basic appearance is normal enough, the sphere somehow managed to offend the rest of your senses. The texture of a sphere, just the feel of it, gives you the impression of an egg just about to burst open. Just touching it makes your skin crawl. To make matters worse, the faint smell of rotten custard emanates from it, and it makes your eyes water. Exciting. Now we can just pick that up and dump that in here. Okay. Do I have any... If I walk up here, would a portal open, perhaps? Here we go. As you approach the archway, it begins to shimmer faintly. You notice the Ferris crutch emits a similar glow. Let's touch it. There we go. Fancy that, huh? Pharaoh's vault. Oh my. Okay. Well, large. Not super large. We can do that before we finish this episode. So where the hell is this then? That's a lot of books. He has gathered many, many things. Beam looks centuries old and look hard as stone. Whole bunch of stuff that we can loot here. Mainly bookcases. So we have a piece of cheese. Okay. Don't know why you would store a piece of cheese in the bookcase, but sure. We have a blood charm. Nothing too fancy. I half expected it to be actually books here, but sure. Scroll of chromatic orb, we can sell that. Scroll of magic missile. That you actually want, don't you? Yes, you do. I don't know exactly which one of those is the best, but you can keep that for now. This is a piece of cheese. Here you go, Mort. You can have the cheese. Right. We also have a lantern. Oh, right. That's like up in the air. Sure. I mean, I am expecting to find my journal right now. Okay. It would be weird if I didn't. Let's go over here. There's some money. Over here we have Swarm Curse. That sounds rather interesting, actually. What is that? Swarm of insects attack all those in the area. I think I already saw that one, but I opted out of it. Okay, books, and more books. Fair enough. Let's start by going up here. We find books, and more books. By the way, why don't you detect traps? She also was... I mean, she did acknowledge that he's dead, but she didn't really go further than that. Maybe I should ask her about it. We have more embalming fluid and thread and needle. Didn't you? Yes, you have thread and needle. And why don't you just have that? Can you have that equipped? Yes, you can. And you can equip that. There we go. Even... Oh, no. More books. Symbols. Faded away. Maybe a library. I would assume so, yes. I'm a bit more interested in knowing where the hell we are. We are officially in the buried village still. Okay. Nothing in here. That's one thing. There we go. A segmented earring. That's at least something. And a glass eye. That's for me. tucked away all in the back. So have we done everything? Can we actually go here? Oh, we can. Oh, I thought that it was a sort of a ledge, but apparently it was not a ledge. Okay, let's make sure that we are not missing anything over here, although I doubt that we will. Right? Oh, it definitely feels that this is the end. I don't think that there are any containers here. No entry points into something else. Well, that was fascinating. We actually found this little hideout. Right, let's see if we can also make it back. Because there wasn't any portal here when we arrived, so I don't know. Let's see what happens. Will we just get a prompt, maybe? Okay. How do I get back? Oh, here we go. Portal. What? Where's the portal? That's a bit odd. Okay, well, let's go here then. I don't think I saw anything when I went past here, did I? Or is it below? How the hell do I get out of here? Do I need to... Can I use this now? I still can't use it. What the hell? Where do you mean that the portal is? I would like to get out of here if I could. Do I have to Google how the hell to get out of here? Do I really need to do that? Because it seems like I do. Right, that means that I'm gonna end the episode here, and when we come back next time, you will probably not see me in here, is what I'm thinking, because I can't see any way out of here. Before we do anything, let's check this. A Stinger Earring, armor class against piercing. You know what, Dakon? You cannot use that. Okay, fair enough. You can use that. So, okay, you had... chain teeth earring. Here we go. Right earring. Also glass eye. So plus armor class against missile, detect traps. But you can't use these. I mean, it's only I who can use these, right? And currently I have an eyeball. And that is a angle-less eye. Okay. Do I want to replace that? Is that okay? I mean... That doesn't feel like something I actually need, you know. I mean, you probably... No, you can't use it either. No one can use it by me. But, okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't necessarily... I mean, this is good if you are... if you have a thief... if you are a thief. This would actually be obviously useful. But to me as a mage, it doesn't really matter as much. I don't... exactly know. I mean, sure, being slightly less vulnerable to missile attacks, I guess is fine. However, I don't think there's been any missile attacks so far in this game, so I don't know exactly how useful that is either. Right, somehow I'll manage to get out of here. For now, I don't exactly know how. So in the next episode, we are going to go back to Clark's Ward, and we are going to try and get the items that we need for our various quests. For now, though, this has been Ghostsmith Gaming with me, Christopher. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.